All right, my friends, we are in for a treat. Today is holy, a sacred day. You'll see colors all over me. GloriaLatham, you participated in it too. We're at Paramath Dikatan Ashram in the International Yoga Festival here on the bank of the holy Ganges in the foothills of the Himalayas in Rishikesh. And Holi is a day of where we're going from winter into spring. It's the festival of colors. It's the good over evil, and it's also a good time for celebrating friendships and being social. We had a big festival throwing colors on each other, and Gloria said, "You look fine," and Gloria, you went and took a shower.
I washed.
But you also said it reminded you of your homeland in Greece festivals, which I didn't realize that your family comes from.
My family comes from the island of Kythera in Greece, and we have lots of these very joyous celebrations, lots of festivity and dance. And
that's the island for Aphrodite, right?
It's the island of Aphrodite, which is the goddess of spiritual and erotic love.
Yay, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I've been looking forward to this interview. Gloria, we had such a good conversation last year at the International Yoga Festival. And the more I learn about you, the more I really appreciate who you are and what you embody. You know, you're a mother of, you've got a couple kids who, I won't say what the ages are, but, and that you're really embodied, and you're really particularly interested in the personal transformation.
Yeah.
And when we were preparing for this conversation, you said there's 2 questions you like to ask your students. And what are those questions?
So I've been working on a series of immersions that I offer both online and in destination locations. And the whole purpose behind this coursework was to help you answer your 2 biggest questions in life. Who am I, and why am I here?
Okay. Those are big ones.
Those are big ones.
Okay, so what does that look like when someone comes into your studio and they're starting to take, you do a combination of Kundalini and Hatha Yoga, and Semper Viva means?
Forever alive.
Forever alive.
So it's connecting back to that aliveness, really. We go through life and maybe we're not quite on track, right? So when I say, who am I? It's reconnecting back to your authenticity, who you really are. And when I say we get off track is we start to listen to all the different voices in our head, and we can't hear our own anymore. And unless you can hear that inner guidance, you're never led to what true happiness is. And true happiness is living your dharma, your passion, your purpose, sharing your gift, which we all have. And we even doubt that. We don't all have to save the world. We just have to do our part. We just have to show up as our best selves. And so, who am I is where you land when you get quiet and you reconnect with who you truly are at your core, and you allow yourself to be guided by your intuition. So instead of ending up in a career that maybe was something that your parents wanted for you or your partner thinks is the best thing for you, you're actually guided by what brings you joy. And if you follow that, you'll never go wrong.
Okay.
And we don't let ourselves. We don't let ourselves follow our passion and our joy.
Well, let's stay with that before we go to why am I here too. Because prior to this, you were saying that today it's so easy to be distracted. We've got cell phones, social media, we're busy, and so forth like that. And then we develop habit patterns that take us out of being present.
Yeah.
And you were saying, so for some of us, it's the long road back to be. Could you say a little bit more about that and how these practices help a person?
So my passion is sort of a non-traditional form of Kundalini Yoga because it does give someone so many tools to work with to quiet the mind. It's a process to get quiet. We don't go from busy, distracted to being able to sit in a peaceful state of meditation. And also, we have a misconception of how peaceful meditation is. I say to people, meditation is you alone with your own mind. And that's terrifying.
Yeah, that is. Yes.
So when we're given mantra to repeat. You're replacing positive thought with the negative mind loop that I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm whatever your negative mind loop is. And so it becomes a tool to anchor you in the present and to raise your vibration, to feel more positive inside. And that's a big part of it, is just what are the practices that help us feel better fast, and that changes our choices and our actions.
Okay. And then you mentioned we start tapping into intuition. I interviewed Bill Bennett, who did a film on intuition, and talking about how he calls it our personal guidance system, and that all of us have access to it. And so it sounds like with these yogic practices that you're helping people experience, it's letting go of the busyness, changing the habit patterns, and being able to tap into that authentic self.
Totally, and that inner guidance. And the authentic self is the one whose thoughts, words, actions, and what's in your heart is in full alignment. So when we talk about alignment in yoga, certainly we can look at physical postures, but the alignment that's really important is, are you living this alignment?
Okay, and that's where Semper Viva comes in, always alive. So what does that feel like? Tell us about the transformation you see for people who come in, start taking the classes, and then the transformation you see with people over time.
Yeah. Well, usually people start experiencing an emotional release in class, and they're not even really sure where it'll come from. You'll often see people cry in class, or just I think that's often they just don't realize how much they're holding on to.
Okay.
And so the practice becomes this release, this letting go, this clearing out, so something new can happen for them. And it's really just it's not a new way of being, but maybe reminding themselves of who they are meant to be, reconnecting with who they are.
And it's already here.
It's already there.
It's just wrapped around layers of conditioning, fears or concerns, and busyness. And yet it's there.
It's there, and you touched on intuition, and the thing is with intuition is, even if you have a sense of your intuition, if you're wrapped in all those layers of heaviness, there's also the fear to trust the intuition. So it's not only about being able to hear it, it's about being able to trust it.
Yeah, trust and then
action it.
And action on it.
Yeah.
And this is touching. I mean, imagine people come in for different reasons, maybe stress or physical things, and that you get to see this transformation. Now, one of the keys that you mentioned to be able to have a personal transformation, I mean, what is one of the major keys you told me prior to here?
Consistent practice.
Consistent practice.
And so it's that discipline that leads to freedom, and there's no shortcut.
Okay, discipline leads to freedom. That's a key one right there. Because oftentimes here we're thinking, oh, fast food, quick this, that.
We want it to happen fast, and yoga isn't something you can cheat. Meditation isn't something you can cheat. You see it in someone. If you're with someone who meditates, you feel that serenity, that presence in them. There's no quick way to get there.
And so the emotional releasing can be part of it. Just kind of go through that. And as a teacher, you're holding that space, knowing that it's just part of the journey. And then when a person gets in touch with the authentic self, I have a feeling that probably leads to why I'm here.
The why you're here. The why you're here has a lot to do with, like you said, clearing that out. And also reconnecting back to what brings you joy, right? And some of us are very disconnected from that, and might not even allow ourselves to be happier, to go after the things that make us happy. And I don't know why, even things like practice, when people feel guilty for taking time to practice, I get it. As a business owner, mother, all of that, there are real time constraints for everyone, and I understand that, but there's no reason in the world someone can't stop and take 3 deep breaths, or maybe repetition of mantra as they're moving, as they're cleaning the house, or something that grounds them and focuses them and helps them clear out the negativity so they can have that more positive influence.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is powerful, because I imagine you're like having a baseline of a regular practice where you're on the mat and doing the practices, and then during the day it sounds like bringing in a practice during the middle of the day to bring back to being present.
The whole day, in truth, should be lived in a meditative way.
Say more about that, please.
So it's not about what happens during meditation that's important. The discipline of sitting in meditation is critical. You have to develop that practice, and yoga is a moving meditation, it's the same thing. But how that affects your life is what's impactful. It's not what happens in the moment. People sit in meditation, they get really frustrated because I have all these thoughts racing through my head. It's like, yes, you do. This is exactly why you need to do this. Because if you process it now, before you go out and meet your family and go out into your day, then you're going to have, everything is going to be more positive. You'll have already worked through so much. You can pre-decide how you want your day to look. And your life is just the accumulation of all those days. What do you want your life to be?
And that sounds like the guidance isn't just thinking what advertisements or everything says I need. It's more of what's coming from here.
Totally.
That's lighting up. And here's a question for you. Like, do you find when people start tapping into their authentic self and start having why I'm here and purpose, do you find that it also includes others' benefits?
Absolutely.
Let's please say more about this.
So when you live authentically and you start living, I keep saying living your purpose, but it's finding that thing that you have that's unique to you that really brings you joy. I mean, what's better than that, to have peace, love, and joy? I mean, what more could you want? And by you living in that way, you really do inspire the people in your life to do the same, instead of holding each other back because I feel shitty. So I'm gonna, I'm not gonna let you live your dream. It's like a whole other way of being.
Beautiful. I'm just imagining what that translates into in the present moment. Like one of the things in peace building we talk about is one of the biggest gifts we can give is being fully present and listening. And to say a little bit about what you see when people bring their authentic self into relations with others.
I don't think people realize what a gift it is when they really are coming from that place, when everything is like a heart-to-heart transmission instead of me sitting here listening to you. And they say that most of the times when we're sitting talking to someone, we're not actually present for what they're saying. We're just trying to formulate our intelligent response.
Yes. And so personal transformation is the foundation for interpersonal transformation.
Exactly. One, by me doing my inner work, that encourages you to do your inner work, and it's like that domino effect or that ripple effect. We all start to live entirely differently.
And what does it feel like?
Amazing.
Yeah, say more. What's it feel like when living from authentic self in relation with others?
In relation to others, for me, there is no other way to live. There is no other way. You can't be one person when you're in your yoga space and then someone else when you're in the world. It creates disharmony. That inner alignment is off. And they say in truth that that you will creates dis-ease, which leads to disease when you're living in that misalignment. So it's not an option. It's not. And the more you practice, the more you feel that where there is a misalignment. And so you keep coming back to that grounded, centered place, and that supports you. It supports the people in your world, and then you're working from this collaborative, supportive foundation instead of this competitive nature.
Beautiful. I mean, that's really powerful. Think about International Day of Yoga and how yoga was sent from the West, from the Himalayas, to help harmonize humanity. And you're really talking about the discipline for personal transformation, tapping into authentic self, why am I here, and then serving, and then how that does, one person, one breath at a time, transform an individual and the people around.
Totally. It totally changes your sensitivity, your level of sensitivity. So, which is a little bit scary because we spend a lifetime building up all these walls, to protect ourselves. And then you realize you've just gone through your life being an unfeeling human being. So the yoga peels away the layers so that you can feel again. But this time you're doing it with strength in your heart and more faith.
And then the joy bubbles up from within. Well, any final tips here for people who are, or any insights for people who are listening? I mean, we're going to have people from around the world. What I love about the International Yoga Festival, we have people from over 100 countries, and just thinking about that transformation that happened, one person, one breath at a time.
Just to practice, to make sure that you practice consistently and not to get hung up on what your practice looks like exactly, and knowing that some days it's going to be, it could be an hour and a half class at a yoga festival with people from all over the world, and that's amazing. And maybe one day it's nothing more than a few deep breaths when you've parked the car in the garage, but you want to just center and ground yourself before you go into your family so that you can be present for them. So it's all of those practices, but the consistency, that discipline will free you.
So Gloria, I would love for you to share a practice that we can do together.
Sure. Okay. So this one specifically works on the nervous system, and it really teaches you to keep your calm when things get challenging. And you can do it in just a couple of minutes. And we'll use mantra because it'll be easier to do it together that way. Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So extend your arms out to the sides, flex at the wrist, and the fingertips point to the sky. And then the fingertips point forward. Sa, straight up. Ta, back. Na, ma, forward. Sa, up. Ta, na, ma. Now close your eyes. Sa, ta, na, ma. 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 So keep going with the mantra, and I'm sure you're starting to feel that it's getting a little bit challenging. But the mantra calms the breath, which calms the mind, which will carry you through no matter how uncomfortable things get. Na, ma, sa, ta, 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 na, ma, sa, ta. And hold it still. Inhale. Hold it here. Exhale. One more deep inhale. And on the exhale, slowly release the arms. And when you're ready, open the eyes. So you can do that for 3 minutes, 11 minutes, 31 minutes, but it works very deeply.
I feel so present.
Thanks for trying
Wow,
that.
thank you. So why do people need drugs or alcohol? It's just like, just do that.
Thank you.
Om Tare Tu Tare Tu